on. Today we're not dancing in this show, and here's something we thought you should know. Have you seen it yet? Even if you haven't, you should see it again. It might be the happiest video you'll see all day. Congressman John Lewis getting down to Pharrell's Happy. The clip posted on YouTube. The 74-year-old says, "Nothing can bring me down." He also had a message for his colleagues in Congress. Be happy. That's what the government is supposed to do. Well, there you have it. And that made us happy seeing it. Well, oddly enough, the song Happy is described as a modern-day disco song with the songs like Blurred Lines and Get Lucky. It's proof disco never really died, despite the infamous 1979 Disco Demolition Night in Chicago, a promo stunt at a baseball game where DJ Steve Dahl, someone I know well, set a box of disco records on fire. Yes, well, fans then stormed the field, hurling records, setting fires, and throwing bottles. Well, now there's a new book out called First Legends of Disco with interviews from 40 people who started it all. Author James Arena spoke with artists and producers who brought us classics like Turn the Beat Around, Boogie Oogie Oogie, and Play That Funky Music. Even the man who gave Donna Summer part of her legendary sound. Okay, how could that not make you want to dance? And James is here with me now. When I got your book in the mail, I was like, we have to get him on. We have to get him on. I was 7 years old. Saturday Night Fever changed my life. I'm not sure what was going on in my 7-year-old mind, but it was epic. It's interesting with disco, the politics involved, even the so-called end of disco, when you see that demolition of the records. Why was it such a heated genre of music?
I think a lot of things were happening at that time, Tamara, and I think we had an oversaturation of the market of disco records. You had radio stations converting to a disco format. You had hundreds of disco records coming out a week. I think the public at the time and the media got a little bit fatigued by this type of music.
But there seemed to be an anger as well. You had some people who said, you know, it was black music or gay music or music that was associated with drugs that was very different than the experience you were having with disco music.
It's quite ironic because this music was so uplifting and so positive. So the fact that people would react, or some people would react so hostilely to disco music was odd to me. I even remember that at the time. But you had people who were very rabid rock fans and felt that disco was overwhelming things.
Yeah.
And I think it just resulted in this incident at Kaminsky Park, which I don't think everybody was running around burning their disco records after that.
I certainly hope not. My parents
I hope not
weren't.
Too.
Right.
And I know many fans weren't. They love this music.
Did it truly, though, begin with the Bee Gees? I mean, How Deep Is Your Love? We played a little bit of that going to break. That's one of the ones that catches my heart. But is that where it started? No,
actually, it goes much further back than that. It really starts about 1974 when you had Carol Douglas, George McRae coming out with their hits. It goes back many years before Saturday Night Fever, but of course Saturday Night Fever was the catalyst that opened the floodgates and brought it to middle America.
In your book, you have a quote from Bonnie Pointer on the drug use at the time and the association with disco. She says, "I was at Smokey Robinson's Lifetime Achievement Award event and went to get a $20 package of powder and I got busted with it. I got taken to jail, and while I was handcuffed in the patrol car, they were playing I'm So Excited." Remember that song? I remember they were singing He's So Shy when I was crying in my cell. Now I go to drug counseling and I'm trying to become a leader. And it's amazing. She's being busted and the cops are playing her song.
That was kind of a cruel thing, I think, to do. But, you know, Bonnie Pointer is certainly on the road to recovery, and she's been working very hard at that. Most of the singers that I asked about drug use and problems like that say they were not exposed to it. They truly valued their instrument, which in many cases was their voice, and they didn't want to fool around with things like that. So it wasn't as common amongst these artists, I think, as you might expect.
Not Studio 54 crowd. When I would look at the pictures as a kid in the magazines, it looks like that's all they were doing there.
Studio 54 may be another story altogether.
But not this one.
Maybe, well, we have one of the DJs from that era, Robbie Leslie. He discusses what went on there. So they all were exposed to it, but I think they were more interested in concentrating on the music and entertaining people and lifting everybody's spirits.
I love that, and I love that it still has influence in today's music. It's pretty cool. Well, thank you, James, for joining us. Awesome. And by the way, gut check today. Yes, I'm being selfish. Who's your favorite disco star of all time? Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/NewsNation. to share your pick, I'm going to say Donna Summer. That's mine. That's mine. James?
Andrea, True Connection, more.
More. How you like that?
That's
okay,
it.
look, okay, we gotta go. That's it for this edition of News Nation. Have a great weekend. Enjoy some disco. Laugh a little. It's Friday. I hope things are better next week in a lot of areas. Up next, though, Andrea Mitchell reports Andrea will interview the partner of American, Philip Wood, the passenger, one of the passengers on the missing Malaysia flight. Please have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
It's more than the drive.